Fraser.
Hi.
We're both in terrible moods.
Are we?
I mean, I feel like maybe we kind of are in our own weird way.
I think we just have our daily allotment of tarragon added to our spice.
What?
It can be spicy.
Oh.
And we're doing the tops and the flops, but it's called...
Oh, Cash and Trash.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
See, these are the books you want to spend your cash on.
And this
is the tops.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah.
And then on your channel, we're going to have the trash.
Oh, great. This works out very well for one of us.
Well, actually, I don't have super trashy books, so it'll be like trash-ish. Maybe in the recycling bin. Maybe there's some reuse purpose.
I have one that I don't think is trash, but it's fine.
Oh,
but it's still like a flop because it's kind of like, like a fish. You're flopping around.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yep, this is us in bad moods.
So you have some fish. I have one that can be set on fire so we can cook your fish. And the other two, one was, anyways, we're not talking about that. One was just not for me, and the other one I'll get to later. So, but we're talking about these are the tops.
This is the coin, the money,
the best of the best,
the dollars.
Yes, huzzah. Okay, we're gonna stop. Do you want to start with the book that you thought about the most?
Yes.
Okay. Do it. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Oh, I was gonna guess
that. You were gonna? Yeah.
I was going
to. Yeah. So this is Talk to My Back by Yamada Murasaki. And this is a seminal work of alt manga, is how it's classified. Published into 84, I think. 1980 to 84, something like that.
Oh, okay.
In a magazine, serialized. And it's sort of, like it's a very celebrated piece of work that only recently has been translated. I think last year this came out.
Oh.
But it took a while for my library to get it. Like I was the only one with a hold on this, and it finally came in, kind of deal. And it's just about a housewife who is dealing with coming into her own as a mother because her I don't know, her husband's kind of like estranged and not like it's commenting on the state of society at the time for women, and her having to deal with raising her daughters.
Would you say that like he's just gotten an active role, or is he like not in the picture hardly at all, or are they actually separated?
No, they're not separated. They're together, but he's like sort of like a wage slave type person, and so he's never home anyway.
Oh, okay.
And I would say
circumstantial, like based on his workplace.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
But it's kind of like stereotypical, I think, in how it depicts the male-female roles in society at the cusp of them changing a little bit. Like she's very assertive. She speaks her mind and she ruminates on why things are the way that they are.
Mm-hmm.
So she's becoming like less docile about these things, and she's like trying to figure out the best way of raising her daughters to be even more so in a time when they never see their father, and he just seems like kind of not great in these. But because it's serialized, it's kind of hard to get a fully fleshed picture of him because most of the time he's just not even present. So yeah, the only thing I didn't like about this was that it goes back to front in the manga style, but then there is a piece of I guess an essay at the very start on why this is like seminal and situating the context of it for Western audiences that starts left to right. And so I kind of like thought I had quite a lot of pages left to go in this. And it had kind of got to a really interesting point in their relationship, to be honest. Like they kind of finally started like talking about things and her bringing up stuff, and then it just kind of ends. So I guess it just stopped being serialized or whatever. And then it transitions into the very end of that essay, which is odd. Like you flip the page and it's the very last page of the essay introducing the book, because you're reading it right to left. So it's very strange in that way. But the essay itself, when you go back and read it, is quite good, and probably should be read after it. It's just odd that they decided to format it like that.
Yeah.
Basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if it had more of a through line, I would have loved it even more. And yeah, otherwise, I don't know. It's just kind of sad that it just ends abruptly. Maybe the magazine went under, or she just decided to stop doing the column, or I don't know.
Yeah. Is this why you thought about it the most? Like kind of like what happened?
Yeah. And it's just really interesting. I've never read any, I guess, alt manga stuff. So I didn't really know that it existed. So it was very effective.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you want to guess
what a top was?
One of my tops?
The only ones I can think of you would have had to finish this month, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it the detective one?
I have that here to show, but the one I thought about the most is actually
that makes sense.
The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt.
Because the Tartt is the best.
Yeah. This is my first Donna Tartt, and a lot of people describe this as like a literary mystery novel, which I guess I get, but it's way more of a coming of age story. And I talked about this in a video I did about like understanding my pacing preferences, but I thought about this book in relation to like how it affected me and my preferences for reading, in that I really like super slow paced books. Like give me all the slow and methodical reads. But Donna Tartt is a fantastic author. I mean, it's sad that she only has 3 books out there. She writes characters that are really complex and really interesting. And I love that she talked about art in the way that I approve of. Because, well, you know me, I hate when authors give the character liking art as a personality trait. And I feel like the character in this book, Theo, whose like soul is in jeopardy, like his morality is in jeopardy throughout the whole book. Like you're kind of wondering, at least I did, is he going to end up being a bad guy, or is he going to end up being a good guy? And throughout, he also has like a relationship with a piece of art, which is why the Goldfinch is on there. And I thought that was just so effective in talking about art, considering art and what it means in our lives. I feel like so many authors try and do that and fail egregiously. And I was like, this is talking about art done right. I really liked that. And it made me think a lot about it. But go ahead.
I saw an interview where she was talking about all the research that she did for the art stuff. And like when she's just speaking about art itself and the way that she describes the Goldfinch painting is based on like all the research she did for the time period and the place and a specific painter or whatever. And it really shines through when you're reading it. You're like, oh yeah, this seems actually legitimate. And then when she was talking about it, she was like, yeah, I read like 18 books on composition in Belgium in 1920s or something. I was like, okay.
No, I mean, it makes sense because she talks about it. She talks about like how important this Goldfinch piece is. And you really get a sense of how important it is, not only for the time, but contextually in our art history. And not all of a sudden, like we're invested, at least the readers are invested in this piece too. And then the character in the book has a special relationship to this piece and it's sentimental attachment in some ways. And so you're like, it's just even like, it just meant so much more. And I was like, isn't that kind of how art works? sometimes you like it and it strikes you, but then it also is sometimes a weird bookmark for your life and the moment that you're in. So when you think about the painting back, it represents like a striking artwork. It represents not only like the painting itself, but also the time in your life in which you were struck by it. And I felt like she just did a really good job talking about that. And yeah, and like I feel like for those who are sensitive to aesthetics, for those who also like art, she just was like making me vibe with it. And I'm not by no means an art snob, but I do enjoy it, and it reminded me that I was like, oh yeah, I am one of those people that like I enjoy art for a very particular reason, and then that reason can be multi-layered.
Yeah, I find all
Multifaceted.
of her works really psychological too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't remember what the actual term is, but like the characters with a dark room, I always
Oh
find that
yeah.
she externalizes their dark room in some way that the reader is aware of, but the actual character isn't. So there's like this tension and dissonance between the characters' actions, with them being far more complex and nuanced and able to do stuff that you're really frustrated about, but it becomes very like understandable and
Yeah.
yeah, complex
And
because yeah,
go ahead.
well, just that's all. Yeah, I
That's
find it
all.
really complex and interesting.
There were times where I was like, I love the main character, but then I'm like so frustrated by his decisions. And I was like, there was times as I was getting closer to the end where I was like really invested. Like I really wanted him to turn out to be a good guy. And I was like, oh, like I will feel crushed. But I was like, to get her to make me feel that way about the character, that's like a lot of work. Because I don't usually, I mean, like, there are times where you're like going, I'm like, I really don't give a darn about this guy at all. Like, he could fall off a cliff for all I care. And like, that's how I feel sometimes. I'm just like, I don't care about you. But this one, I was like, man, I really, like, I felt super invested in some of the characters, some of the periphery characters, the secondary characters, like, pulled at those angles. Like, are you going to end up turning into more of a bad guy, or are you going to end up turning into more of a good guy? And they would pull at a certain side and you're like, oh, stop it, but then no one was actually hateable. Like I hated no one, even the most egregious characters. I was like, they have weird redeeming qualities in some strange way. I don't know, I just really liked it. I really liked, and she was really good at writing unlikable characters, as I'm finding out because I'm reading The Secret History right now. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very Finchy.
Yeah, I know. I think I'll probably finish reading her final book, The Little Friend, by May. So
Well, all in 1 year,
yeah, I don't
banging
know
them
if that's a
out.
bad thing or a good thing.
I paced them out for like years apart. The Goldfinch, actually, when I first read it, I was like, this was pretty good. It was a 4-star book, but then I like literally could not stop thinking about it for
Oh, that's
like
interesting.
months and months, and I ended up upping it after that to 5 stars because I just thought it was incredibly good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just like, if I like something, I'm just gonna go for it. Like I'm not. Why would I wait? Because I don't know. Philosophically, I think no one is guaranteed tomorrow. Like, so what if I don't have years to live? I
Yeah.
want to live my life doing something I love. And like time is so precious to me, and it's hard for me to sometimes just like love like deeply, to just like jump in. I don't usually have that feeling. I'll just be like, I'll read things. So yeah.
I'll read things. Yeah, usually you read the cream of the crop of an author, and then you just buy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'll usually just like their best work. But she only has 3 books, so I feel like pretty good diving into her whole backlist. And I was like, I thought The Little Friend was her debut, but I'm finding The Secret History is her debut, and I'm like, wow. Like, wow. I wish every debut was like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, she made a lot of money from that. There's a intense bidding war for it. But
I mean, to just come out with that as your first book, it's just like, how?
yeah,
I don't even know.
She went to the same school for writing as that famous American Psycho guy, Easton Ellis or whatever.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. My next
All
book.
right. Are you doing a classic, or are you doing two favorite faves, or what?
It's just a favorite fave, yeah.
Okay.
I can't before I could say that this book should be a modern classic, but this one I can't. It's
okay.
just something I liked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The Impending Blindness of Billy Scott.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's oversized, if you can't tell. It's quite huge.
Is it a graphic novel?
It's a graphic novel.
Oh, what's it look like inside?
Looks like this inside. I really like her
tell me
artwork.
about this?
Yeah.
You did not. I don't remember this at all.
I did.
I have like no memory of this. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
tell me about it.
An artist who's very like got the standard, I guess, social anxiety around everybody else. She basically only keeps to herself and does art, and she has finally got accepted to a gallery and needs to do, I think, 10 pictures or pieces basically to fill the slot. At the same time, though, she has mugged and hidden the head, and then it I can't remember what the term is, but she starts going blind, so she's got a timer on that. And she doesn't really have anybody to lean on because she's been so reclusive, and ends up like kind of embracing this notion of trying to do her best work right away before it goes, and like searching the streets of London in order to find these like characters that resonate with her and to draw them. And so she gets situated in like homeless shelters and people who are just like transient by nature, I guess, and people like her basically that like don't fit in, cracks of society, stuff like that. And then small, I guess, sort of vignettes of tension, I guess, occur within that normal arc. And yeah, it's just got like a pretty interesting resolution. It's very queer in some ways. I love the art style. It's like 3-tone, I think. I don't think it's quite 2-tone, but it's like 3 tones within it. So you can kind of guess like her mood and like kind of what's going on with the scene. She's got great detail. Yeah, it was one of those books that when I Googled top graphic novels, I think not of last year, but the year before, it was on the list. And then it just took me a while to actually get a hold of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Keep looking at it. It's very beautiful.
Zoe Thurgood has another one out that made another top list, and that's something to do with loneliness, the end of loneliness, the edge of loneliness, something like that. Yeah.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, I bought this one. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
With Christmas money.
Christmas. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. All right.
What's yours? Is yours a classic?
It is a classic. It is like the classic-iest classic that could ever classic.
Classic?
Yeah. Can you guess or no?
Antigone? One of the plays?
Yeah, actually. Yeah. This is like the 3-play bind-up. So it was Antigone, Oedipus the king, and then Oedipus at Colonus. And
Antigone the one?
Antigone was the one. And then I would say Antigone has a very it's like a very personal meaning in that like you see a female character in this ancient Greek setting, and it's an ancient play, like standing up for what she believes in, standing up to the king, like really, kind of digging her heels in for what she thinks is right and what should be done with her brother's death, which she thinks he should be buried. And it starts off like that, and then the play moves along. So like personally, that was like, I just love seeing that because I like, following sort of proto-feminist figures from way back, and you can see like their transformation and where they come from. And so I quite liked that she had a really strong voice in it all. But I think that Oedipus the king is like the most fast-paced, really interesting. And I think I learned the most from that book. Because I didn't really get it, and then I got a flood, like an actual flood of comments of people saying like it's about fate, like Oedipus who kills his father and sleeps and marries his mother and has children with her, and it's because so I learned a lot because it was foretold in his life that he would do this, and he, unbeknownst to him, he was actually an orphan, and tries his darndest to escape his fate. And yet, through a series of events, it still ends up happening. Like he kills somebody out of self-defense, and only later do we realize that was his father. But he didn't even know that was his father. He thought his father was his adopted father who was in a land far away. And he didn't even want to return to his mother because he didn't want to accidentally marry her, only to find out that the woman he was married to is his actual mother. And so it's about sort of like, why do bad things happen to good people? It's like a stab at that philosophical question, but we're watching the ancient Greeks do that. And it was just so fascinating. So I learned the most from Oedipus, but my heart still goes to Antigone because I think she's just like this super badass character. For the likeness of which I feel like we just need to see more of throughout history.
And it's a little bit of an emergent read for you, considering you're reading The Secret History right now, too.
Yeah. I mean, because they're referencing a lot of the ancients, but yeah, it was really interesting to see that because they're more talking about the study and the writing of Greek, and then they'll be like, I don't like the setting of the Iliad. It's too hot and flat. I know what they're talking about, but I'm like, for other people, I'm sure they would find it.
I find the setting
snotty.
A little too crusty. Yeah. Yeah. I like my doughy, soft settings.
Yeah. And then I mean, the whole thing is interesting. Interestingly, though, in The Secret History, I feel like she's a master at really crafting characters you truly dislike.
Yep.
But I mean, in this, you can't help but feel quite like, I don't know, I felt quite loved towards, I felt really bad for Oedipus, I felt the kinship with Antigone. Yeah, even though her demise is sad, but anyways, Harry's like wanting me to play with him, playing on the side. Okay, what's your last one? Your favorite fave?
My favorite fave is Thane by Anne Marie McDonald.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, I should have guessed that. Yeah.
I
That's a great
absolutely
book.
adored that book. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
historical fiction. It takes a look at like socio-economic stuff happening in the UK as soon as like the aristocrats were on the downfall. Reminded me kind of Downton Abbey, but gothic and with more interesting characters and queer themes, basically.
Sounds so good.
It's really
Sounds so good.
It's
Yeah.
very good. Yeah. And it reminds me of another book that I won't say because it's a spoiler, basically. Although if you read the synopsis, it gives a lot of that away. But I think you should not read the synopsis and just read the book. Just go in, blind or whatever, and just take it in. It's although be aware that she's chonky. It's like 39 hours on audio.
Yeah, Thane is a big one.
Yeah.
She's on my wish list right now. Isn't she a Canadian author, though?
If she is, it's the first that I've read of her.
Oh, okay. I thought she was a Canadian author.
She's pro. I like her. It makes sense she's Canadian, honestly, reading this.
I know. So recently I ranked the 10 best picture books according to the New York Times and New York Public Library, the 10 best illustrated picture books, and on the bottom of my list was Canadians.
Well, we're just good at the literature, I guess.
I was just like, not my favorite, but I don't know. Last year they did better in 2021. There was like, I think number 3 was like a Canadian, but I was like, this past year I was like, no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All
What's your final one?
That I am very close to finishing, but I loved it so much I wanted to include it.
This is illegal. No, just kidding.
Illegal? No. It is Elizabeth George, A Great Deliverance. I don't know. It was one of those like natural things where I didn't have anybody reads going on, and I had a little bit of free time, and I was like, I have some space to fit a book in, and so I picked. It's a mystery novel, and when I started reading it, it was after I had read the Goldfinch, and so I knew my sort of inclinations towards pacing, and I was like, she's doing it right. She's just not in a rush. It's she, and the thing is like she's clever, Like there are, in a lot of ways, her and Donna Tartt, especially in the Secret History, they overlap. She is referencing Victorian literature, Greek literature. She's making a lot of, you know, connections in between and using characterization based on other literature, which is something that I like. And but on top of that, she's just good. Like, I don't know, it'll be like, you know, I don't know, like a transition is just so well done. Like, you know, he'll be like, do you want some tea? And then the scene will change and it will be like a close up on the tea spout, you know, going off. But you're not with those characters. You're with a different character, maybe. And so, like it just feels really cinematic and really natural, especially her transitions. It just seamlessly goes one into the other, or they'll be like, you know, they'll reference something, and then there's like it just seamlessly moves into the next part. And I don't know, like it's just like those little things. It's like she has the little things right. And so it's like otherwise it would kind of be a run of the mill mystery, to be honest with you. I mean, she's not doing anything totally subversive or incredible or over the top or anything. It's just like all the little things are done really nicely. Her characterization, the way she's building the mystery, the way she's not taking any time, her use of language, her use of transitions, and it all comes together and you're like, this is really nice. like this is just really nice. Yeah, and I've been really engaged. So
one of those books where they just nail something that is tropey but perfectly.
Yeah, but it's yes. In some ways, like she's sort of following the normal mystery tropes. She has the red herrings and the twists and turns and the sort of complicated plot and all of that. But I feel like she's creating characters that she likes and that she wants you to like. And she's doing it in a way where she's not just throwing information at you where you're like, oh, stop it, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
She's just like slowly kind of building on like who they are and their backgrounds. And so in a weird way, I feel like maybe like Tana French wouldn't be who she is as a writer without somebody like Elizabeth George, because Tana French, though she's a lot more subversive to the genre, she's also not in a rush or trying to get somewhere quickly. She's just like, I'm going to take my time to build this story up. So that's how I felt about Elizabeth George. So I liked it so much that I've been stalking secondhand bookstores and library sales, and I've bought 2 other of her books. Though I bought like number 8, and then book number 8 in this series, and then number 18. So
you're committed. Yeah.
I'm just like, I feel weird that I don't have her next book, because I'm like, what if I want to read her and then I won't have a book to read? Like I feel an immediate kinship with this woman. Okay,
she's not popular enough to be in the library.
She is. She has like, I don't know. These days I don't read as much library book. I don't read as many library books unless they're quite expensive, which means like graphic novels and picture books.
Okay. But if you had to, you could just get the second book from the library, right?
I would rather buy it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I support your decision.
Okay. Yeah, and I heard they get better as they go along. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm just, you know, it's so good.
Okay. Well,
if you want to read a mystery series with me, you know where to find it.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on my channel.
Thanks for having me.
Go watch the flops, the video if you haven't already.
I do like the cash.
Oh yeah. Go watch the trash. I'm sure we'll be very curmudgeoned over there. In terrible moods. Okay. Bye.
Bye.